The report describes 42 cases where humans sustained injuries after alleged encounters with, quote, anomalous vehicles.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we'll be looking at 10 creepy mysteries of 2022.
No one knows where it came from or what it looked like.
For this list, we'll be looking at the strangest, most spine-chilling enigmas from 2022 that have yet to be solved. What stories sent shivers up your spine this year? Let us know in the comments. Missing poetry teacher. Megan Marone, a high school teacher in New York, went missing in April of 2022 in Massachusetts.
When her family didn't hear from Marone for several days, they got worried and called police.
While her car was found at the entrance to a hiking area, GPS data from her phone indicated that she didn't enter the trail, but instead ended up near private property. Marone was described as a teacher who was passionate about reading, poetry, and her students. She'd been given paid time off from teaching for an undisclosed reason, but it's been suggested that a coworker's inappropriate behavior is likely to blame.
I do know that what happened at school caused her a lot of heartache.
Remains were discovered, but tragically, there are still many unanswered questions. Marone's family is still waiting on answers, and it seems mysterious notes are being left along the trailhead.
The remains were found in a heavily wooded area a few miles away from where her car was located.
Foul-mouthed ghost yells at hikers. Walkers exploring the Somerset countryside got more than they bargained for this year. A local ghost has been telling them to leave and dropping F-bombs to make her point. Since the popular spot is called Dead Woman's Ditch, they probably shouldn't be all that surprised. According to local history, the name references the murder of Jane Walford at the hands of her husband in 1789. There have been previous reports of ghostly incidents in the same location back in 2020. A local ghost hunting group even did some investigations. The hot-headed haunt is back in 2022 and, apparently, she wants to be left alone. Horrific twist in coma case. In 2020, Wanda Palmer was found on her couch with traumatic injuries made by what was ostensibly an axe. Considering the amount of damage, police were stunned to find her still alive.
They believed she was dead, but then heard sounds, quote, commonly referred to as the death rattle.
For the next 2 years, Palmer was in a coma, and what happened that night remained a mystery. That was until July of 2022, when Palmer suddenly woke up and named her brother as the attacker.
And she told investigators the attacker that night was her own brother.
The uncooperative suspect was arrested for attempted murder and malicious wounding. Then, just days later, Daniel Palmer III was dead. According to authorities, his health rapidly declined while he was in jail. The case is closed, but without a real conclusion.
There weren't any signs that he was sick, and he didn't sustain any injuries.
Canadian tourist's mysterious death. In July of 2022, a Victoria man by the name of Scott Graham disappeared in Spain. While he was traveling between cities, the bus left with his bag, wallet, passport, and required medication, but without him. Somehow, the stranded tourist made it to the Canadian embassy in Madrid. He arrived with a visible head wound and was struggling to recall contact information. It seems the embassy did little to help him, despite him giving the correct contact information. And after he left, Graham was never seen alive again. More than 2 months after his disappearance, his body was found by the Madrid police. They have not revealed any details about where or when his remains were found, but they have claimed no foul play was involved. UFO damages. In 2017, it came to the media's attention that the U.S. government had funded a program to study UFOs.
The Defense Department spent about $22 million on the program.
Information on the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program was demanded, and though it took 5 years, the materials were finally released on account of a Freedom of Information Act request. Included in the medical reports were incidents of harm to individuals from exposure to unusual airborne vehicles or power sources.
These documents include reports on the biological effects of UFO sightings on humans.
Injuries included burns, brain and nerve damage, heart problems, and headaches. Stranger yet was the admission of possible abductions, mysterious pregnancies, telepathy, and teleportation.
The report said some of them appeared to have been inflicted by, quote, energy-related propulsion systems.
Haunted historical home. When Eric Andrist and Jeff Rizzo bought the Henry Levy house, they wondered if the historical home might be haunted. They only had 6 ghost-free months before their first supernatural incident. One night, they heard footsteps and objects being moved above their bedroom, but the next morning, no physical signs of disturbance could be found.
There's nothing moved. Everything's as it was the last time I was in here.
A few weeks later, they had a similar incident. This time, there was also a loud banging throughout the house. Their security camera also caught footage of a door opening by itself. A paranormal TV show is planning to include their home in a future episode. Look out for it in January of 2023. Woman found dead in cistern. Debony Escobar's disturbing disappearance starts with a viral video. When the 18-year-old abandoned her ride home, the driver took a picture to prove he left her alive. Unfortunately, she never made it home. Security footage showed her approaching a booth at a nearby transportation company. 5 minutes later, a camera from a nearby motel caught her running towards the abandoned restaurant on the premises. It appears nobody talked to her in either location. Despite 4 official searches of the area, her body wasn't found for days. Motel employees eventually located her remains at the bottom of a cistern. Theories abound, but no solid answers are available. Nightclub needles. Imagine attending a nightclub or concert in France and getting stabbed with a needle. You find the mark, but you don't know who did it or why.
In January, British police said they received more than 1,300 reports of needle spiking in 6 months.
This happened more than 300 times in the spring of 2022. There were also cases reported in Britain, Belgium, and the Netherlands. Victims can see pinpricks or bruises at the site. Many have reported feeling dizzy or groggy afterwards.
My vision went blurry. I felt very weak. So I looked at my friend and I said, I'm not okay. Something's not right.
Doctors are unable to determine if there were drugs or any other substances in the needles. It's a difficult crime to track, and there are currently no leads. It leaves people wondering how they can possibly protect themselves from something so random and potentially harmful.
It's left her and her friends terrified and uncomfortable about ever going back out.
Unknown rocket crashes into the moon. In March of 2022, NASA reported that a 3-ton rocket body had crashed into the moon. This is the first unplanned collision of this type in recorded history. Where did it come from? They don't know.
Who's ever to blame? The result of the collision won't be more than a minor fender bender.
It was originally blamed on a spent SpaceX rocket. This was ruled out. They theorized that it could be from a Chinese mission. Their government firmly denied this possibility. The incident created a double crater unlike any other rocket crash of the past.
The researchers who made this discovery say they need more time to fill the gaps.
Both the origin and nature of this event have left scientists scratching their heads.
I don't know if that's ever going to be explained, to be honest with you.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Veterans told to keep quiet about UFO sighting. In May of this year, 3 Army veterans shared their story about a frightening incident in 2014. While on watch at their Sinai outpost, they recounted seeing 8 bright lights in the sky. The objects moved erratically and at incredibly high speeds. One of the observers was told by a superior officer to stay quiet about it, and the soldiers were afraid to make any kind of official reports, given that it could have led to psychological evaluations and possible damage to their careers. Congressional hearings in 2022 hope to start a process for taking sightings like this more seriously.
Unidentified aerial phenomena are a potential national security threat.
They want to reduce the secrecy around the unidentified aerial phenomenon. Reporting incidents like this could possibly protect the country from future harm.
This was recorded while the U.S. Navy ship observed a number of small unmanned aerial systems